Yo, what's going on, Nomads and Drifting Podcast listeners? I'm Brian.
And I'm Monica.
And welcome to the Backspace Nomads podcast, where we share our nerve for gaming, movies, and all the dork in between. On today's podcast, we're exploring Fortnite Mobile ruining kids in classrooms. We talk about the best Easter eggs in gaming. We look at Sea of Thieves in its current state, and then we give you our opinion on last week's game releases and the good, the bad, and the indie. It's April 2nd. This is episode 53 of the podcast. Let's start the show. So we're a day late on the podcast because it was Easter. Monica, how was your Easter?
I forgot it was Easter. And I was really excited because I made a list of things I was going to accomplish during the day. And most of them required me to be out in public, going to stores and businesses.
Yeah.
And I realized when I got to my first empty parking lot that wasn't going to happen. So I immediately started calling family and wishing them a happy Easter from the parking lot.
Oh, it just sounds like a Wes Anderson indie movie. Just a lonely car in a parking lot and you're making Easter calls.
It really was. What's funny is my phone had died that morning. So I didn't charge it. I don't know where my charger is. I loaned it to the one that I had. I loaned it to somebody and they didn't return it. And so my phone's been dead. And I get to this, I charge it in my car because I have a car charger.
Yeah.
And on my way to the parking lot to go shopping for items that I needed, I realized that it's Easter in the parking lot. And then my phone turns on and I actually called people because I needed to keep charging my phone. I called people from the parking lot. I did. I called my mom and my dad. So how was your Easter? Did you find lots of Easter eggs?
Oh, did I? I didn't run any Easter errands. But I went over to the family, had family come in from out of state. I got to spend it with them. My adorable little niece, she did some nighttime Easter egg hunting with lights inside the eggs. It was really fun. And I just, like I do every day, played video games with my brother-in-law. It's just like we were kids, except none of my brothers were able to come. So I traded out my brothers for my brother-in-law. And
That's fair.
I played Fortnite on the console, on his console. He had an Xbox with it. So
that's fun.
My one day off from streaming and playing Fortnite, I just played more Fortnite on it. So
wow, that means you love what you do.
Oh, you'll never work a day in your life, Monica.
Oh, Jesus.
And I guess Fortnite's everywhere because we were taking a look at this article from Kotaku that Fortnite Mobile is ruining kids. The headline of the article is Teens and Teachers Say Fortnite Mobile is Destroying Some Schools. Might be one of the funnest articles I've read in a while.
I definitely think it is because the article headline seems a little dramatic, but they truly are ruining schools' Wi-Fi, which I find amazing. There are so many kids using school Wi-Fi to play Fortnite that they are wrecking it. And I was reading through some of the tweets of students that Kotaku had gathered, and it's pretty hilarious, honestly. Fortnite Mobile has completely killed what little school Wi-Fi we had. Fortnite Mobile is the only thing happening in school today. My school Wi-Fi is ass ever since all these jokers got Fortnite Mobile.
Oh man. Like, how much is getting done on school Wi-Fi that they like need it? Because I was graduated from school before Wi-Fi was ever a thing, I think.
Yeah.
We had the landlines to I played like Doom during school. That was mine. I was old school. I'd actually sit at a real computer instead of using my mobile device to play games. But like, isn't it just like every other phenomenon? Like, didn't we bring like Game Boys in to play Pokemon all the time underneath like the desk and stuff?
I feel like that was not a thing.
No.
Did you do that?
Yes.
I didn't do that.
Oh, I had to catch them all, Monica. It didn't matter where I was.
Man, I mean, I think if I had Pokemon Go as a child, I definitely would have used it. But no, I never brought like a gaming device in.
Did you ever play Snake on your Nokia phone?
Oh, fuck yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about. We had it.
We did. It was just really, really lame. I feel like what I got distracted by the most in school was like boys just staring at them, wondering what they were about. No, you remember when you would fold, I'm sure this still happens, where you would fold the paper into this like little quad and you would, and I don't know even what you would, it was some type of origami and you'd write things in it. I mean, I remember doing that in class. I remember thinking that I could whisper to my friends, but I have a very distinctive voice. And I would get caught every single time. And I was like, how did they do that? How did they do that? With my booming whisper. But I do get it. I feel like schools, if Fortnite is screwing schools, Pokemon Go had to do the same thing.
You think?
I feel like it, unless there were no good.
Unless they purposely like not put Pokemon in the schools because they knew, like, because Nintendo's a good company. They got a heart. I
definitely did not read about schools having a hard time with it. So maybe they did. Maybe they prevented it in some way.
Yeah, I think my best thought about this is like the kids who are playing like Heads Up 7-Up. And instead of like keeping their eyes open and cheating to look at the tennis shoes of the person tapping them, they're just under the desk playing Fortnite and like trying to get a chicken dinner for themselves.
Oh yeah.
I like any type of anarchy. I love any type of disruption in the learning process. So this is one of my favorite things I've read in forever. Like, keep playing, kids. Like, keep getting out there and playing this stupid game.
Well, one thing that they definitely did do, which I know Pokemon Go had to, or they didn't have to, but Pokemon Go instituted a like, don't play this while driving alert. And in response to all of the teacher and children's frustration, which the children are saying, tweeting out things like Fortnite Mobile got me tripping down the school steps, man. Whole school is on this Fortnite Mobile wave. I'm squared up in Algebra 3 instead. Like, the teachers did come together and there was enough publicity on it that Fortnite now warns people not to play in class. Which, just imagine if you're an adult and you have to select, oh, I will not play in class. How does that make you feel?
I mean, we're always learning. The world is a classroom, Monica.
Okay, that's true. You're right.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the kids to, like, when they're saying their ABCs, to like just say like double up on the G's, just to like mess with the teachers.
Oh no.
So we just had the Easter break, right?
Yes.
One of the things I want to bring up to you, and we talked about it in our production meeting, is Easter eggs in gaming. What are some of your favorite Easter eggs in all of gaming? Because I think that they're one of the best things that like gaming and movies do for nerds.
Yeah. I love a good Easter egg. Real or in relation to.
Oh yeah.
I love a good hard-boiled egg on Easter or
very
in
pretty
video
colors.
games. I will admit to that. So I had to think about this because, one of the things, Brian, that I am not the greatest at are things like considered achievements or finding like the nuances of games. Like, I get really into certain games, but I've played a lot of games in my life and not ever noticed the cool things about them, I just take them for what they are at face value. And I'm like, that was great. But I did. So I had to really dig deep on this one. I'm like, which games have I played that had Easter eggs involved?
Yeah.
So the first one that is probably, we'll start with the one that I think is probably my favorite, and it is Borderlands 2.
Ooh.
There is an element in the game where if you run through a certain way and you jump down onto this one platform, um, it seems inconspicuous. You wouldn't realize that that's a place where you would want to go. But when you do it, double rainbow happens. And this is an old meme. I realize this is an old meme,
You're dating us,
but
dude. You're dating
but
us.
it's true. But you know what? Whatever. It's Borderlands 2. Everyone should have played this game. Borderlands 2 is an excellent game. But Handsome Jack talks about there being a double rainbow
What
in
does
the
it
game.
mean?
What does it mean?
What does it
Double
mean?
rainbow. And he goes through the entire YouTube video, basically. And the rainbow shows up in the sky. And it's really a beautiful moment in the game. So I loved that one. I love that one. That's one of my favorite Easter eggs.
I wish they would just do a behind the scenes once of how they come up with like the Easter eggs. Like, do you think they have a meeting where they're like, all right, we need Easter eggs for this? Or do you think like a meme comes out like double rainbow on YouTube and they're like, we're putting this into the game. We're putting this in.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite would be this is like a classic one. It's like the anti Easter egg is from San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto, the San Andreas. They have the not an Easter egg graphic. You climb all the way up to, on top of the San Andreas Bridge, which is mocking the San Francisco Bridge, or I'm sorry, the Golden Gate Bridge, the big red one. And you climb all the way up. You take all this time to get up to the top of it. You think there's going to be like a star or something cool you get, and there's just a graphic, and on it reads, "There's no Easter egg here. Go away." And it's just like my favorite rock star moment where they're like, "We don't care about you.
Yeah,
go
that's
away."
fun.
That's our humor. What's the next one for you?
So I've played both Portal games, and I didn't even realize this is how sad this is. God damn it. I didn't even realize this was an Easter egg until much later. But in Portal 2, there are drawings on the wall, and they just look like weird little scribbles of different types of writing. And I experienced it, and I just didn't pay in much attention to it. Well, it is an Easter egg. There is a voice that you can hear if you're close to the wall, if you're trying to inspect the wall further. And a lot of people don't really realize what exactly it's supposed to be. There was speculation that it was a particular person involved with the game that might have been schizophrenic, or some type of character that was related to the game that was participating in it in that way. I don't know if there's ever really been a clear definition on what it was supposed to be, but if you do stand close to that wall, you do hear a voice. Now, granted, it isn't a more secret area or in the trials, and I saw this, I participated in it. I had no clue was experiencing something special or unique that other people had to go find. But it was one. And I guess this one makes my list because it's one that I knew about and accomplished without reading about it.
You're accidentally an Easter egg hunter.
Yeah, I am. I'm the person that finds the Easter egg a year later, and it's rotten, but I fucking found that one that no one else can find, you know?
Yeah, there's something that smells in the yard. I don't know what it is. You just go back inside.
Jesus.
The next one for me would be it's like more of a whole experience. It's in World of Warcraft. Blizzard is notorious for their humor and how funny they are bringing all these little like pop culture elements into their video games. And in World of Warcraft, they just have the best character parodies in all of gaming. They will take a character from popular culture. Like my favorite one was they take Link from the Zelda series, and they put him on a gnome, and they give the gnome like a green hood and a green outfit, and he's carrying like a bow and stuff. And his name is Linksys in it. And he's just like out in the open, like you just find him, and he just like says some corny line from the game. You do nothing with him really. It's just he's there. And that is like littered throughout all of World of Warcraft. And I remember when I was younger, like just getting the biggest kick out of it. They have a big monster in the sea, and it's called Nessie. You know, it's just like floating around, walking around out there. I forget the exact name of it, but they have like an Indiana Jones type character who's a dwarf, and he's a human. He has an Indiana Jones hat. And
Yeah.
he's scattered throughout all these quests, and it's all about him being like a treasure hunter. It's just everything around World of Warcraft, and like the puns they would put in for pop culture references. I would have the best time because that was before people were like telling you about it. You just be running around. And you're like, oh, I got that. I'm smart. That's a
Yeah.
nice Easter egg.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
My next one is similar, I guess, in the sense that it's using elements of other games or culture to like participate, but it's very, very distinctive and it only really happens once. I am a huge fan of the Witcher franchise and I've played all three. I am, believe it or not. I played all three. Out of the three, Witcher 2 was probably the one that left the most to be desired, I would say. The first one was just so unique. And then the third one kind of followed the same concepts. The second one followed the same concepts. The third one was like really unique again.
Yeah.
But in Witcher 2, there is one scene where you are fighting different people, you're just kind of battling, and if you walk over, there is someone that looks to have jumped into a cart full of hay. The cart full of hay has broken down and that person has died. And from when you walk up to them, your main character says like, here they're always doing this, or here they go, they're another one bites the dust or something like that. And then in the very corner it says like assassin, and it's a play on Assassin's Creed, guys. Jumping from high like buildings into hay, and this one had broken the cart and killed himself.
That is so funny.
It's pretty funny.
I wish I would seen that one in the game, like, because I played a little bit into Witcher 2 and I had to stop, just kind of got bored. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you with that information.
No, Witcher 2 wasn't the one that was the best out of the three for sure. So
I love that like inner jokes like between developers and stuff. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
My last one would be in Halo 4. I played a lot of Halo 4 in my life, and there was a part in it where, there's just two guards standing around, and if you just hang around a little bit, the guards, I don't know who stumbled on this because I definitely didn't stumble on it myself. If you just stand around these guards, they start to just banter back and forth about being guards and like, dumb things happening in the galaxy and when like with the Marine Corps or whatever. And then you start to realize who the voices are. And they're voiced by the very funny Conan O'Brien and his sidekick, Andy Richter.
I had no clue that existed in Halo, and I played it.
Yeah, so Halo 4, like there's a back and forth between them. It's hilarious. I guess they were just like ad-libbing about like being a guard and like joking around with it in the studio while they were cutting this. And they just put it all in the game. And, I think that's kind of encompasses what a good Easter egg is. It's just like something that's like really special only for people who awkwardly find themselves standing next to guards for too long. Like you shouldn't be doing this. Like, but here it is. So that I think is one of my favorite ones in all of gaming. Simply because I, grew up watching Conan, and I remember Andy Richter on like way back in the day before Conan. He dropped off the Conan show. He's back now. So that was a ton of fun for me because just a little slice of childhood, put right into my game.
That's rad. I love your memories, Brian.
Thanks. They're really good. So let's move on to our last discussion topic for the night.
Okay.
The disappointing state of affairs for Sea of Thieves. I think we titled this Dead in the Water.
Oh, God.
I think that was your idea, so whatever.
Was it?
I think it was. I don't.
It might have been. I don't know. I say a lot of things, so similarly to not really knowing if I'm participating in Easter egg, I don't know if I'm participating in something that is a good title for something else. But so we were actually thinking about talking about Sea of Thieves as the good for the week last week.
Yep.
And we were going to battle about which one deserved to be good. And I am outing you right now by saying that you were like, let's just go with Nito Cootie.
How dare you?
Because Sea of Thieves has really not gotten the rep that or not met the expectations of
Yep.
what the fan base were hoping for. Now, there is a saying that says the pain exists between reality and expectations, and it seems like Sea of Thieves has caused quite a bit of pain.
It has caused I think quite a bit of pain is almost underselling it. Um, Rare had this massive idea that everyone in the gaming computer community was more than excited for and like super anticipated, and they kind of just laid an egg. This game is just a stinker. There is no content underneath it. I think like the starting off point for a conversation about it is like everyone's comparing it like this is 2018's No Man's Sky. Because we all know the controversy that No Man's Sky did nothing. They didn't deliver on any of their promises when they released.
Yeah.
And Sea of Thieves almost kind of feels like it's the same way.
Yeah. So from what I've heard and read, there's very little content.
Mm-hmm.
You can get past the content aspect very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just a matter of like participating in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in some fashion. But the one thing I do want to say, though, is now granted, I think the price point of this game is part of the pain that is existing. I really think that, because if this was a $30 game, I don't think that as many people would be so frustrated by it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. There are plenty of games out there that are multiplayer that offer less or just as much as this game that have gotten away with a lot more.
Yep.
And I feel like Sea of Thieves, because of their high price point, because of the way that they sold themselves, because of the way that they marketed themselves, is just kind of on the chopping block.
I agree with you. And like, if you're charging $60 for a game, that has to get you, I would say, $1 an hour of content. I really feel that way. You have to get at least 60 hours of fun, fresh content out of the game, or I think you're just way overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
When you're banking on a PvE experience, at this point, we live in a world where MMOs have dominated the PvE multiplayer experience, and they deliver hours and hours of content. We were talking about World of Warcraft before. I dove like 120 hours into World of Warcraft, and I was like scratching the surface about how to build my character, the storylines, the quest lines in the game. Sea of Thieves, it's, people play the game for like 5 hours and they're like, well, what else is there?
Yeah.
I just make my character look a little bit different, and I just go to another island and collect another chest. Is that all we're about?
Yeah. I definitely understand the frustration. I do think that it's, like I said, I do think that it's some partially because of the price point. But one thing I guess I would add here is that this game is going to be what you make it and who you're playing it with.
Right.
And if you have the right group of people and you're having fun, I do think that there is the possibility of really enjoying Sea of Thieves. But outside of that, I think you'll struggle.
I agree with you. I play with a lot of people who are kind of like PvP minded people who like player combat.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be playing with a lot of people, but there's only so much fun you can have until you're like, well, what else are we doing? And like, there's only so many jokes you can make about throwing up into a pail and throwing out to your friend. Like there's a finite amount of jokes that are going to get laughs. The world is just so small. I think I read somewhere that in any given like server or instance, there's only like 16 players, including your group of 4. So there's 4 other teams in this area. And so you can sail around forever and not see anyone.
Right.
So like you are heavily banking on the friends that you have to make this work. And I don't think I have the friends that are funny enough to make this game work. Like, that's why I was leaning on you. Like, Monica, do you want to play this? And we're like, probably not. Like, you're one of the only people I was like, I could sail around the seas and not do anything for a couple hours and be entertained.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
I guess in order to play Sea of Thieves, you need to spend $60. You need to wait for additional content, which I do think that they will have more content come out. And you also need to befriend comedians or people that you're wildly entertained by.
Yeah. If I was a really funny person, I would like offer my services like,
You
$10
are
an
a
hour.
very funny person,
Well,
Brian.
thank you. I don't want to actually commit to this selling myself out for a humorous
For
friend
$10
adventure.
an hour, you can play with Brian, everybody.
How exciting. That's just how exciting. That's part of the commentary you're going to be getting.
Reach out to me first, though.
Ooh.
I take 30%.
No,
Yes,
you're not taking 30.
Pimp. I mean,
It's
you're
weird how
agent.
like only because I know you're a good business person, I was almost like mildly okay with that idea. I'm like, well,
Okay.
she's gonna get me a better deal. Like she's oh man. So I don't know. Like I would really like to play Sea of Thieves. I know as a podcast we want to do it, so we come on and talk about it. Do you think there's ever going to be a point where we're able to play Sea of Thieves together?
I have so much gaming debt. We've talked about this in past pods, and I don't know that I'm gonna get caught up to the point that by the time I'm ready for Sea of Thieves, there's going to be God of War.
Oh, dude, that's like in a week or two, right?
Yes, I have so much I have to do before then.
Bro, you're deep in Nino Kuni right now.
It gives me anxiety. I have so much shit to do. I have to play Nino Kuni. I have to play A Way Out. I have so many things to do.
Right. Let's go to break while we think about everything that Monica has to do so she gets more anxiety.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to be doing the good, the bad, the indie. Stick around. We'll be right back, Nomads. Thanks for sitting through that break, Nomads. Coming back, we're going to be doing the good, the bad, the indie. The good, the bad, and the indie is where we look through all the new releases in gaming to bring you our opinion on what games you should be playing, the ones you should be avoiding, and the indie games that you need to stick on your radar. This episode, we're looking at games released during March 26th and April 1st. The good for the week, the juggernaut of the beginning of this year, Far Cry 5. Developed by a whole bunch of Ubisoft studios and published by Ubisoft itself, Far Cry, welcome to Hope County, Montana, home to the fanatical doomsday cult known as Eden's Gate. Stand up to the cult leader Joseph Seed and his siblings, the Heralds, to spark the fires of resistance and liberate the besieged community. Monica, what's your initial impressions of Far Cry 5?
I have to admit, I think Far Cry in general brings this really adventurous spirit to video games, and it always has. And the fact that they were bringing it to this kind of bumfuck Hope County situation in Montana, I was like, okay, this is unique. But I love the premise of it being around religious cults. I can't get over it. Now, this is a personal preference of mine, but I have watched a lot of documentaries on religious cults.
Yeah.
And I think it's a riveting aspect for a game to partake in.
It is. I know that for a long time, we were hovering around this idea of doing a segment about like the alt-right in the gaming scene. And Far Cry 5 like just takes it right in there and dives head on into this alt-right bumfuck, what is going on in Montana in the hills. This game looks amazing, first of all. The graphics are out of this world. Far Cry 5 has always been like a benchmark game for graphics in the industry. Ever since the first one, people have been more than impressed with what's going on, and they don't slow down with Far Cry 5. I can't believe how realistic and how in-depth all the graphics are, like what's going on underneath the hoods in this game.
Right. And a lot of the content creators that are out there that I've been watching, playing, have a really hard time putting the controller down. And that's important. Yeah. You don't want it to be so difficult that you quit, you lose your job. But unless you're a content creator, then you're fine. You just keep playing forever and ever, right? But I really feel like if they are having a fun enough time that they don't want to go to bed, that says something very in particular about the game.
Mhm.
The the challenges that you hit, the quests that you have to go after too, are long. They're story driven. They're challenging. It can take a couple of hours just to complete one quest,
Mhm.
but it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't seem like it feels that way. But beyond that, yes, the game itself is gorgeous. The graphics are gorgeous. The character
Mhm.
development seems to be on point. The one thing that I feel like there's been some hesitation over is that they do draw. There have been people that have said that the storyline, while interesting, while intriguing, they do drop the ball a little bit on the
Mm.
depth of it.
Okay.
I imagine that that's probably because if you go too hardcore on it, you're opening yourselves up to some scrutiny.
Yeah,
But I still think that the concept is just so interesting in
it
comparison
is.
to other Far Cry games.
Um, all the other Far Cry games have always been about like kind of narco, drug lords, that type of stuff. And this one, it's like you said, they jump into the weird cult nature that kind of, I don't know how other countries like deal with cults. I know in America there's this weird militia cult movement. Um, and it has a lot to do with like religion and stuff, and it is fascinating. I'm almost sad that I don't think I have time for this game. It's a $60 game, and I would not even hesitate to pick it up because it is such an interesting topic to explore and like kind of open that up and be like, how does that kind of make you feel when someone's being this like fanatical about guns and religion and all that?
Do you think that there will be any people that start a cult based off of this game?
I hope so. I would love for there to be some like Eden Gate cults popping up around the world. Like, wouldn't that be nice to see the kind of influence that the gaming has as a whole?
What the hell?
Is that wrong of it? No?
I don't know. I don't really want these cults to pop up. But
They're
I
already
know that
there.
there have been there within nerd culture, there have been plenty of elements of games like this where it's
Mhm.
just like a distinct, they're talking about a specific lifestyle or, kind of putting rules around how to run your day to day in regards to religion that have ended
Mhm.
up being followed. So I don't know. I feel like there's a possibility. I hope it
Do you
happens
think
in Montana.
do you think we can start a Backspace Nomads cult?
I don't know.
I think between the two of us, I think we have enough brain power to come up with like a cult. And like that would get people addicted to it. What
Okay.
I one thing I'm concerned about with Far Cry 5 with all these content creators
Mm.
is that everyone around the world kind of gets the wrong impression about America. Uh, and they think that this is just what America's about, like this weird, like redneck cult culture that's going on.
Colt, sure.
The culture.
uh, yeah, but don't you think when you're looking at different elements of the world and they only have drug lords you don't think that those people care about
Oh,
that?
they do. And I'm sorry, but Colombia, I just think you guys are a bunch of drug runners. That's all I think about you guys now. Narcos has ruined Colombia for me. And I know because I've read through like comment sections on Reddit that they're like, that's not what our country is about. And I'm like, but isn't it? But isn't it? And that's what I feel like Far Cry 5 is going to do to us.
Oh no. Well, I mean, there are plenty of areas in the States where it's somewhat accurate. Just choose your state wisely that you visit, I guess.
If you start to see mountains, just maybe a little bit more caution when you're
Yep.
driving around.
Yep.
Uh, all right, so the bad for the week. Let's move on to this one. Tube Tycoon, developed and released by Teal Fire for a price point of $10.99. Tube Tycoon, the only game of its kind where you can feel like a real internet celebrity. Record videos, interact with your subscribers, buy better equipment, and gain fame. Monica, what are your thoughts about the Tube Tycoon?
I feel like this game is one of those things that shows up on your Facebook and is like trying to make you feel like these are your 10 steps to success. I don't understand. Now, granted, I play simulator games
Mhm.
and I have played strategy games. And I understand that I am sometimes participating in something that I could be doing in real life.
Yeah.
But this is a step further for me. This is doing something on the computer as a simulation of doing something on the computer
Yeah.
that I could be doing in real life.
Yeah.
Sitting down. And so, from that perspective, I don't think you're really going to be learning anything from this game. And I find it very, very confusing.
It is. People always make the argument like, why would you watch esports when you could just play the game yourself? Well, like, I can't play the game on a certain level, right? So that's why I enjoy watching esports. Tube Tycoon, it's just like you said, it's all at your fingertips. If you want to be a Tube Tycoon, you can go do it today. You can record a video, maybe a podcast, upload it to YouTube, and then start responding to your subscribers.
But what with esports, if it would be like you saying, well, I can't play on that level. So I'm going to play a game where I play as an esports character. And then I don't actually play a game. I just participate in being like their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little too meta for me, I guess.
It is a little meta.
A few things about the game that people are kind of complaining about is that there isn't really a multiple paths in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That it is kind of you are participating in a simulator that isn't simulating anything but a specific story.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't get behind this one. I'm also really shocked because based off the visuals for this, I would not have expected it to be at $11.
I have no idea where they're pulling that $11 price point out. Like, this is not an $11
It's
game.
bold. It's a bold price point.
It's audacious, Monica. It's audacious. And I feel like it's going to sell kids on this notion of like, these are the things you could do to make it on YouTube, which is kind of shady because, YouTube is a hard place to find an audience. And I would hate for these kids to get on and be like, oh, this is what I got to do to make it on YouTube. And it's just only from like a numbers point of view where it's taken all the creativity out of what the YouTube experience is and how creative you need to be to find your own audience in like a very saturated market.
Right.
And we're only looking at graphs and numbers, and it's just, why would this game is such a money grab because the people here couldn't not make it on YouTube. Like 100% this is by the people who did that.
Yeah.
Or couldn't do it, I should say. All right, so moving on, the last game for the week, our indie game for the week, Evil Cogs. Evil Cogs was developed and published by Wetfish for the price point of $3.24. It was released on March 28, 2018. In the game, you will play the role of a small creature consisting entirely of light. You are the last light beam of hope in a dying world covered with darkness. It's an action-adventure game in a gloomy black and white stylistic art style. The player's task is to get to the end of the level alive. One of the main features of the game is a huge emphasis on physics. Everything from exploring the locations to solving the puzzles is based on physics of the surrounding world. Who writes these? These are not sentences.
They're very convoluted.
They are.
So the one thing I want to say about Evil Cogs right off the bat is that it is a mobile game port. And we were a little bit hesitant about putting this as our indie game.
Mm-hmm.
It looks platformer-ish, but it is not a platformer. In fact, I would consider it more of a casual game. The way that you are going through these landscapes is by controlling a character similarly in style to Flappy Bird, but not similarly in style to Flappy Bird because the game itself is gorgeous.
Yes. Beautiful. I love the Flappy Bird comparison because I think it lets you find the control scheme, right? Like Flappy Bird was so addictive because it was such a simple mechanic to do. So they take this simple mechanic and just put it in this gorgeous, gorgeous stylized game. all the levels that you're interacting with are all silhouettes. And then there's lights behind it, and then your character's a light, and the music going that, like, it's just amazing, the art direction behind this game that takes Flappy Bird from being this like weird, dumb game. And it's like, what can you really do with that if you actually know how to make games?
Yeah. Yeah. The concept is similar, but the execution is so, so different.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you mentioned, with just the description and the art style is this kind of dark forefront with this
Mhm.
light background. It follows a similar style somewhat to Limbo,
Yes.
which is an excellent indie game from years ago back. And um, a few other games that have kind of followed similar concepts to that. It's an appealing look, and this one definitely caught our eye. I feel like there are more and more games that kind of follow this art style, but this one's unique in the sense that if you are not a lover of platforms, but you want something that's more casual and can give you a little bit of a challenge,
Mhm.
this could be it for you. And not only that, but you get to participate in a game that there has been obvious effort put into.
Mhm. I agree with that. Not every game has to be like super complicated. And I kind of love that about the indie space is like, can we just strip games down to like where they're fun and like not because of mechanics involved or the complexity of mechanics, just because they're fun for fun's sake. This is a game where you can get into it, kind of zone out, see how far you can do in it just by doing one click, and still have a really quality gaming experience delivered to you from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm a big fan of Evil Cogs.
Yep. Me too.
Um, all right, that's going to do it for episode 53 of Backspace Nomads. Hope you guys had a wonderful Easter. We'll see you guys back for episode 54. That one will be on time next Monday morning, so be on the lookout for that. If you are on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're on our podcasting platforms, don't forget to subscribe to those also. But we'll see you guys later.